Write a story that incorporates the idea. If not for the sheer absurdity of his request, I would have gone through with it, but I was proven wrong.
The request. I first encountered Mr. Quince on a bitterly cold afternoon in November, as I was leaving my office at the university. He was waiting by the door, pacing slightly, his coat too thin for the biting wind. He seemed anxious, his eyes darting from side to side as if he were contemplating whether to approach me or turn and flee. "Dr. Reeves," he called out as I passed, his voice trembling slightly. I stopped and looked at him, pale, gaunt, and clearly distressed. There was something unsettling in the way he stood, almost on the edge of collapse, yet held together by some frantic determination. "Yes?" I responded cautiously. "I need your help," he said. "You're a historian of obscure manuscripts, are you not?" "I am," I replied, though my expertise was a niche one, often dealing with documents so forgotten that even the most ardent bibliophiles wouldn't bother to seek them out. "What exactly do you need?" He hesitated, casting his gaze downward before meeting my eyes again. "I have a manuscript, an old one, but it's written in a language I don't understand, one I don't think anyone has seen in a very long time." This piqued my curiosity, but only mildly. I'd been approached by countless amateurs who thought they had stumbled upon some priceless treasure, only for it to turn out to be nothing more than a diary or a discarded will from the 19th century. Nevertheless, there was something desperate about him that I couldn't ignore. "And what makes you think this manuscript is of any importance?" I asked, wanting to see just how far his delusion extended. "Because," he said, stepping closer, his voice low and conspiratorial, "it's not of this world." At this, I nearly walked away. I had heard enough outlandish claims in my years of study, books containing spells, maps to lost civilizations, guides to immortality, and each one had turned out to be more absurd than the last. "If not for the sheer absurdity of your request," I said, half amused, half irritated, "I would have gone through with it." "Please," he implored, his voice suddenly cracking, "just look at it. I wouldn't come to you with something like this if I wasn't sure." Against my better judgment, I sighed and motioned for him to follow me back to my office. Perhaps, if I humored him, he would leave me in peace. Once inside, he carefully pulled a bundle from his bag, wrapped in layers of cloth, and placed it on my desk with the kind of reverence one might afford a sacred artifact. I watched, skeptical, as he unwrapped it to reveal a leather-bound book, its edges worn and frayed, though the binding seemed oddly intact for something so ancient. I opened the cover, expecting to find indecipherable scribbles or meaningless symbols, but what I found instead was an intricate script unlike anything I had ever seen. The letters were strange, curling and looping in ways that defied any familiar structure. My heart skipped a beat, and suddenly the absurdity of his request seemed less so. "What language is this?" I murmured, more to myself than to him. He shook his head. "I don't know. That's why I need you." I began turning the pages slowly. The text remained consistent, meticulously written in this enigmatic script, but there were also illustrations, intricate diagrams of the stars, strange geometrical shapes, and what appeared to be elaborate machines, centuries beyond what should have been possible. My initial skepticism gave way to fascination. I recognized none of the symbols, none of the patterns. It was as if the manuscript had materialized from some forgotten epoch, or from nowhere at all. "Where did you get this?" I asked, my voice now entirely serious. "It's been in my family for generations," he replied, his tone now as sober as mine. "Passed down always with the same instructions. To keep it safe, to never reveal it until it was time. And I believe now is that time." I should have dismissed him, closed the book, and handed it back, told him to keep his family secrets and leave me out of whatever madness this was. But something held me. The manuscript was like nothing I had ever encountered. The absurdity of it all, the hidden language, the cryptic diagrams, had drawn me in. Days turned into weeks, and I found myself poring over the text, trying in vain to decipher it. There were no linguistic roots I could recognize, no clues to its origins. My colleagues, too, were baffled, though I shared only a fraction of what I had uncovered. The book had a magnetic pull, something that felt almost alive. And then, one night, as I was flipping through it for the 100th time, I saw it, a set of symbols that seemed to align with certain constellations, paired with the diagrams of the machines. I had missed it before, blinded by my skepticism, but now it was clear. The book wasn't just a manuscript. It was some kind of map, or perhaps a guide. If not for the sheer absurdity of Mr. Quincy's initial request, I never would have believed it was real. But as I studied the manuscript deeper, I realized I had been proven wrong in the most profound way possible. I had been shown something that defied all reason, something that now consumed me. I was no longer sure whether I was uncovering knowledge or stepping into a world that had been better left untouched.